Welcome to this week's episode of Retire Simply DFW, the show that helps you navigate the complexities of your retirement. I'm your host, Kristen Oakley, and I'm joined in the studio by Scott and Angela Winstead. They are the co-founders of Compass Retirement. Friends, it's so good to be with you again. How are you this week?
Fantastic. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing really well, and it's always just a treat. I look forward to this time with you every week. And
us too.
It's such a blessing to get to help and serve so many people, and I know that you are so busy serving the entire, Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex area. And we recently did a show together on Social Security. The response was amazing, and the reality is it's very complicated. There's so much to cover. So we're going to dive back into it today and talk about some more important things related to Social Security, specifically the hidden costs of Social Security. So let's first kind of back the truck up and talk about why, for some folks, they rely heavily on Social Security. Other folks, they have a lot of money saved up. I know you work with a wealth of folks who have really done a good job of saving. But even someone in that situation, why is this situation surrounding Social Security of when to file, how to claim, why is that still so critical to anyone's retirement plan and to their full financial plan when it comes to planning for the rest of their lives?
Well, Kristen, I think that's a great question. And really the whole thing about retirement is we're trying to maximize everything.
Yes.
Right? So if you're bringing in money, it doesn't matter how much money you have.
Right.
We're trying to maximize it. And I'm sure we'll jump into this a little bit later, but if you have really good income, anyways, you just have saved a lot of money, and you need to understand your Social Security.
Yes.
Because it's going to impact you in lots of different ways that you might not have thought of.
Exactly. And we always talk about how you make a decision in one area of your financial life does and will affect all the others. And I feel like Social Security is one of those things that really highlights that.
Yes. And it's a lot of the basics we want to understand. It seems like everybody knows and has heard of Social Security, but that's kind of where a lot of it stops. We might have a quick conversation by the water cooler, but we want to understand the basics. So I'm just going to go ahead and start with the very basics, and those are just some of the ages that we can start claiming Social Security. Well, the earliest age you can claim is age 62, with an exception of being a widow. But when we claim at 62, then we have lots of rules that we have to deal with. And one of the biggest things is, for most people, if you claim that early, you're going to leave about 25% of your Social Security benefit on the table.
A quarter of what you're entitled to, and that's over, think about it. If you live another 30 years, you're leaving a lot of money on the table.
A lot. And I guess that's okay if you want to do that and you're doing that, but it's not okay when you don't realize what you're doing and it really impacts you. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, just because you can doesn't mean that you should.
Exactly.
It's true for a lot of things in life.
Yeah,
right?
That's very true. That's very true. But with Social Security, then if we get to our full retirement age, and you can see what that is for yourself. If you don't know what your full retirement age is, you can go to ssa.gov. Get an online account, and it will give you your full retirement age. For a lot of you watching, that's going to be somewhere around the ages of 66 or 67. Again, it's a little bit different for everybody. But once we hit that stage and that age, we get to claim our full Social Security benefit.
100% of what you're entitled to.
Exactly. And you've worked so hard for that money. You want to be able to get that, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And then again, there's another age that we talk about a lot, and that's age 70. Well, if our full retirement age is age 67, and we can wait all the way up until age 70, why in the world would we do that? That's because our benefit actually grows each year we wait. Actually, it grows every month we wait, but we look at it annually. So if you're kind of thinking about, oh, Angela, what does that mean? It grows. It grows by about 8% each year that you wait. So if we're 67 is our full retirement age, we go out until age 70. By the way, that's when it stops growing. But if we wait all that extra time, that's 3 years, 8%, 24% total would be the increase in our benefit for the rest of our lives.
Yes, and that's, again, a lot of people aren't aware of that, and I hear that all the time. Oh, I'm 62, it's time to go ahead and claim, but then you're missing out on the benefit for a lot of folks of what it should be for them if they wait.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think, a hidden cost is obviously maybe claiming it early and leaving money on the table. That's a really big one. There's also 2 additional benefits, though, that a lot of folks, I think, get confused about. And they're just not quite sure how they work. And sometimes we get to deliver really great news, like people are like, wow, I didn't know I get this extra money, right? That sort of thing. Other times we have to say, oh man, had you done it this way, you would have got a little bit more, right? Sort of thing. But those 2 benefits, outside of understanding the 3 ages Angela mentioned, are spousal and survivor benefits. And there's a lot to, we could do a bunch of episodes on just those benefits, but at a very high level, the spousal benefit is basically 50% of the higher income earners' full retirement amount. And if you're wondering, like, well, how do I know what my full retirement amount is? When you look at your Social Security amounts, there's going to be one at 70, the larger number. There's going to be one at 62, the least amount. The one in the middle is your full retirement amount. And that number, that dollar amount is very important because a lot of other benefits get calculated off that number. So 50% of that number, okay? But as Angela mentioned, if you take the benefit at 62, your own, it's a 25% reduction. If a spouse takes a spousal benefit early, it could be a 30% reduction. So if you both, husband and wife, took both a spousal benefit and an individual benefit, both at 62, the individual benefits reduced by 25%, the spousal benefits reduced by 30%, you're looking at a 55% reduction in your guaranteed monthly income in retirement for the rest of your life. Less than half. And that's a huge, huge cost. The other thing is understanding survivor benefits. And a lot of times, you know, if the higher income earner passes away, the spouse, the surviving spouse, is going to inherit that full amount. Well, a lot of times that surviving spouse would rather have the bigger number, right? So maybe the number at 68 or 69 or 70. So planning around these things is so hypercritical. So if you're sitting there and you have a lot of questions and you're thinking to yourself, when do I take this? How do I take it? I don't want to leave money on the table. I've done a good job of saving, but I still want to maximize this. We would encourage you to pick up the phone, scan the QR code, take action, and let us do a complimentary Social Security analysis. Here's what that means. You provide us with the different amounts for you and your spouse. We're going to do all the heavy lifting. We're going to crunch the numbers. We're going to tell you, here's what it looks like at every step along the way so you make a very good, educated, informed decision. It doesn't mean you have to wait to take the most amount of money, but what it does mean is understanding what you give up if you decide to take it early. But we can't do any of the heavy lifting for you until you take action and pick up the phone or scan the QR code and come visit with us. We got you covered. Pick up the phone, give us a call.
Scott, Angela, thank you so much. We are going to take a quick commercial break, but we encourage you, pick up the phone, call the number on the bottom of your screen, 844-861-5203, to get your own complimentary Social Security analysis from Scott and Angela and the team at Compass Retirement. Again, this is for no cost, no charge, no obligation. They would love to be able to help you, and the response has been so fabulous, but we're going to do this for the next 10 callers. So be one of the first 10 to be able to pick up the phone and call to make sure you can get a time on the calendar to get your own complimentary Social Security analysis. You're also welcome to scan that QR code. Simply scan that QR code in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. That will simply take you over to a landing page, ask you a few simple questions, and then a member from the Compass Retirement team will reach out to you that way as well. When we come back, we're going to be discussing more of the hidden costs of Social Security. Do you know what they are? Stay with us.
At Compass Retirement, we have a very specific way that we love to help people plan. It's actually a trademark system, and we call it RetireSimply.
When we put together your plan, it is on one page. We use this plan as a really easy way for you to organize in your mind what your money's doing and how it's behaving.
We have made an acronym to make it very easy to remember. Simply stands for S, shelter your money. A portion of your retirement savings has to be protected from the stock market going down. Very important. I, income generation. Without income, you don't have a retirement. How do you maximize your Social Security? What's that sit on the porch number that it takes you every month just to exist in retirement? M stands for Medicare and long-term care planning. Alleviates all of that burden that might come down the road. P stands for protecting your legacy. You've worked hard all of these years to save, so let's make sure that it
it gets where you want it to get to in the most tax efficient and best manner. L, something we're very passionate about, means less to the IRS. We've got to have a plan so that we are paying the least amount of taxes to get you to and through retirement. And then lastly, yearly strategy visits.
Having it organized this way is what gives us the ability to be flexible and nimble. So when, not if, but when our retirement environment changes, we are always in a good position to be able to get you the income that you need in retirement.
Your plan is a living, breathing thing because you are a living, breathing person. So it takes constant monitoring and constant updating to make sure your plan's always in line with the retirement vision you have.
So at Compass Retirement, it's all about retiring simply.
Welcome back to Retire Simply DFW with Scott and Angela Winstead. They are the co-founders of Compass Retirement. I'm your host, Kristen Oakley. We are having a great show today talking about the hidden costs of Social Security. And before the commercial break, we were discussing the hidden costs of people if they don't understand the basics, they take it too early, they get locked in a lower amount, or they don't understand the complexities of the spousal benefits and the survivor benefits. And I know, Scott, you have someone that you've been able to help recently who was prey to that hidden cost, and you were able to help them navigate that. So I'd love for you to share with the viewers a little bit more about that situation.
Yeah, I'd love to share the story of Kathy that came into our office a few years ago. And she was recently widowed. About 13 months previously, her husband had passed away. She was 61 years old. And she was trying to navigate retirement, trying to navigate everything you go through when you lose a spouse, and was really struggling with a plan. Didn't really understand, how her retirement was set up, and was having to withdraw every month a lot of money out of her accounts to kind of keep the lifestyle and things that were going. And the accounts were dwindling. It was going down, fairly significantly. And so we started talking a little bit, and she was explaining her story to us and telling us about her deceased husband and all that. And so, just asked, hey, do you know what your Social Security amount is? And she gave us that number. And then we said, well, did your deceased husband have Social Security? Yeah, but he wasn't taking it yet, and, all of that. And we said, you can actually start taking that survivor benefit from your, deceased husband right now. And she just looked at it. She said, oh, no, I think you're wrong. She said, you can't take Social Security till 62. And we just lovingly said, well, we've got great news for you. As a survivor, you actually could start taking Social Security at age 60. And she had missed an entire year worth of collecting her Social Security, but we were able to help her turn it on, which the kind of the byproduct of that was she didn't have to keep taking so much money out of her retirement account. So we were able to not only preserve her nest egg longer, and she had more income coming in. And it was just a beautiful scenario of, again, just knowing some simple rules can make all the difference. And those hidden costs aren't always things that we know about, but they could be happening in the background that you're completely unaware of. So making sure that you have an income plan that is maximizing your Social Security is a huge piece of your overall Retire Simply plan.
I mean, what a difference, right? I think that's so common. A lot of folks, they just know 62, right? That's what people hear.
And she was so grateful.
Oh my gosh, I bet that was a game changer for her.
It was a game changer. Let me tell you something. It's been a few years since we've done that, and we've been coaching her around her retirement and things like that. And now she's traveling and doing so much stuff. It's hard for us to get her back in the office.
I love
so we've had a
Good
discussion.
for you, Kathy. You go, girl.
Yeah. But she does get. But I mean, I wanted to just share that little piece of the story because it can transform your retirement.
It can change the trajectory of how things are going to unfold.
Absolutely.
There's the ripple effect.
Yes,
for sure.
absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I know there's some other hidden costs that you want to help expose today on the show. So what's the next one that folks need to be aware of?
Well, one of the things that we find with our folks that retire, like I said, most of the people we help, they were really good savers. We aren't really working a lot on, hey, we don't know if we'll have enough income. We're working on taxes and things like that. Well, a lot of our folks, even though they don't have to work after they retire, they like to get something we call a side hustle. So they go back to work part-time. They're not back at a job or a career where when you're there, you work 8 to 5, but when you go home, your brain is still thinking about work. We call that a job or a career.
Right.
But when you have a side hustle, you're bringing in extra income. That's one of the things
On
that
your terms, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
but that's one of the things that we have to think about with Social Security, because I know I talked a little bit about the earnings limit, you know, just before commercial, but I want to dive into that
Yeah,
a
let's
little
do that,
bit
because
more.
this is another important thing that
It is
we
a really
really
big
need
deal.
to understand. Yeah.
Yeah, so if you take your Social Security early, again, that's before your full retirement age, this is one of the things that you have to deal with, and it's the earnings limit. And if I just break that down, what it says is you can earn up to I'm just using $20,000 right around there. It's actually 21,000 and some odd dollars, but $20,000 and not have any problems with continuing to get your Social Security benefit. But if you go over that, they are going to start withholding. So that is the main thing to remember about the earnings limit. The second thing that you want to know is the year that you're actually going to turn your full retirement age. So if that's age 67 for you, that year you can earn more than $20,000. It's closer to 50, and not have the penalty, but that's only in the year that you're going to turn your full retirement age. That's going to give you lots of questions, so let me give you an example. If my birthday is in June and I'm going to turn 67 this year, and that's my full retirement age, between January and June, I need to make sure that I'm making under the $50,000 so that I don't have the penalties. So again, these are just things that we really want to know about in our retirement, because it's all about income, which offers you choice. And you know, you've heard us long enough say, we really, you know, with our RetireSimply plan, I is for income. We have to take this very seriously, whether we're talking about Social Security or pensions or earnings. We have to have a plan for that. And Social Security is a huge part for most of you. And for a lot of folks, it's going to be one of the bigger accounts that they draw off. We want to get this right. So if you've done a great job saving and you want to maximize your Social Security, please pick up the phone right now. Do yourself a great favor and claim that complimentary Social Security analysis that we'll walk you through, where we're going to ask you the tough questions. We're going to help you through the art and the science of what is right for you. And then we're going to come up with a plan, and you're going to know what it is, and we're going to help you maximize those dollars. So pick up the phone, take some action, and let us help you get it done. You will feel fantastic.
Scott and Angela, thank you so much. And we are going to take a quick commercial break, but we encourage you, pick up the phone, call the number on the bottom of your screen, 844-861-5203, to get your complimentary Social Security analysis. Again, this is for no cost, no charge, no obligation. And you know, one of the things I always love, the feedback I hear from folks that watch the show and come in and meet with you, is they say, Scott and Angela really know what they're talking about. And you do. And I love that you're able to help folks navigate really all the complexities of Social Security, because there are so many personal factors that come into play, and you want to make the right decision for you, for your spouse, for your situation. And so they are ready and willing to help you. Simply call that number, scan that QR code, and when we come back, we're going to be discussing some more hidden costs. So don't go anywhere. We'll see you right after this.
Good morning, Ben.
Good morning, Ben. Hey, birthday party for Carol and 5. Happy birthday to you.
Good morning, Ben. Happy Monday.
Daryl's birthday, be there every square. Happy birthday to you. As you can see from our quarterly report on slide number 62, we're trending in the right direction. All signs point to a very positive outlook for the next several years. If you peel back the onion...
Ben, do you have anything to add?
The work never seems to end until the day it finally does. Call today to get your free written financial plan so you may live every day to the fullest and enjoy the retirement of your dreams.
Welcome back to Retire Simply DFW with Scott and Angela Winstead. They are the co-founders of Compass Retirement, and I'm your host, Kristen Oakley. We are talking today about the hidden costs of Social Security, and this would not be a Retire Simply DFW episode if we did not address the hidden cost of taxes. I know that is something that you are so passionate about, is helping you pay less to the IRS. And the reality is a lot of folks aren't aware that their Social Security could very well be taxed. So start with that. Let's help folks understand and unpack this, why taxes are such a critical part of your Social Security claiming strategy.
You know, it would be too easy if the federal government just made this super simple to figure out,
Of
right?
course, right?
But
it's not in their nature.
it's not. And you know, the Social Security amount that you get could be subject to what we call ordinary income taxes, which if that means you're in the 22% bracket, you might pay 22%, or 24% bracket, you might pay 24%. So what we're about to go over, and I'm going to share with you, is how Social Security becomes taxable and how much of it becomes taxable. And so Social Security came up with this really technical term called provisional income, and it sounds really technical, but here's all it means. Your provisional income is made up of two parts. One is half of your Social Security amount. So basically, if you're getting $3,000 a month, right, it's $1,500, okay, or whatever half of your benefit is. And then they add to that what they call your adjusted gross income, which just basically means all the income that you make, right? So it could be, you know, dividend income from your investments, it could be your rental income, it's just all the income added together. And they lump those, they add those two numbers together and outspits out your provisional income. And that's the number they use to determine how much of your Social Security benefit is going to be taxed. Now again, the rate that it gets taxed is the highest rate in our tax code called ordinary income tax rates. But how much of the payment becomes taxed is based off of how much provisional income you have. So a married couple, right around $32,000 and below, none of your Social Security benefit gets taxed, right? So if you just have $32,000 or below of total income for your provisional income, you're not going to pay any tax on your Social Security. Now, above $32,000 to about $44,000, so about, you know, a $12,000, you know, corridor there, up to 50% of your Social Security payment can be subject to tax, okay? Above the $44,000 provisional income number, 85% of your payment is subject to be taxed by the IRS. So I guess if we're going to be, hey, the glass is kind of half full, to be said a nice way, 15% of your Social Security is always not taxed. But 85% of it is up to being taxed at the highest tax rate that you might pay. So it's imperative when we're talking about the hidden costs and things that can take away Social Security benefit from you, we have to understand that provisional income number and have to understand how much of it's going to be taxed. And the great thing is for you sitting out there is we know all the rules around it. We can help you with that.
Well, and can I just share one of my pet peeves about what you just said? $44,000.
Yeah.
And when that was set, nothing's been adjusted. The rest of us have had to adjust our lives thanks to inflation, but that amount has never been adjusted.
Yeah, you're right. It's actually the equivalent of if someone was making $96,000 today.
Yes.
Inflation adjusted. But they've kept it at 44 to try to what? Generate more tax
taxes,
revenue. That's right.
Yep. So how do we navigate this? How do you help folks strategically plan to account for how their Social Security could potentially be taxed?
Well, we go through a series of things. You know, I want to jump into a tax bomb that's kind of associated with Social Security that people don't think about a lot. So Scott was just sharing with you kind of the different tiers of taxation with Social Security. So if we keep ourselves under that 32 number, that 32,000, we're not taxed. Okay, so let's just pretend we're there. Well, if you haven't heard of something called a required minimum distribution, I'm going to share with you what that is just very, very quickly. So they take all of the money that you have saved that is pre-tax, whether it's a 401k or an IRA or something like that, and they bundle it all up into one big number. And then as of now, when you turn age 73, that's the current required minimum distribution age, they force you to take money out. And just for round numbers, it's right around 4%, very loose numbers. Well, this is the deal. And when you turn 73, it's right at about that 4% number, and then each year that you get older, that percentage continues to grow. So let me give you an example. If you've got $1 million saved in those pre-tax accounts and you hit age 73, you have to take out $40,000 that year. They're going to force you to take it out. You have to record that as income. So if we were at $32,000 and we have an RMD that has to come out, we just jump to $72,000, which busts us up into that highest part of taxation for our Social Security. So the reason I'm getting kind of detailed and sharing that information with you is because when we work through Social Security, we already know all of this stuff. We'll ask you a few questions because we're trying to make sure that we don't hit any of these landmines or these big tax bombs. And if we've got them ahead of us, hopefully you're in that office and we have a few years to adjust things and get it in the right position for you so you won't be so highly taxed. Because imagine this, you know, Scott and I say, oftentimes, when you're taking your Social Security and you're paying Medicare premiums and you're in your 60s or your early 70s, you know, you have this great benefit coming in because you have this lower income. But when those required minimum distribution starts, your income starts shooting up, which makes your Social Security get taxed more. And oftentimes it also increases your Medicare premiums. So I call that a double whammy. And we don't want those in our retirement. So we really want to think about how we can address all of these different things when we're deciding to claim our Social Security. I know that sounded complicated,
Oh my gosh, no,
but we just need to remember, hey, there's things ahead of us that we don't understand.
Absolutely.
And it would behoove us to get in to talk to someone who at least knows where all the landmines are, right? At least can give us a conversation. But, you know, lucky for you, listening in, you're in front of a few folks that really understand all of this stuff.
And who care.
Yeah, well, of course.
Right?
Yes, you're right. Of course we care. And you know, that just goes to prove the point that we will hold your hand. We will hold your hand and walk you through this. We will ask you all the questions that need to be asked. So if you were a good saver, number one, congratulations. Number two, give us a call. Take that step right now so that you can understand how this is going to affect you with your Social Security. Go ahead, pick up that phone and let us provide you with a complimentary Social Security analysis. Do yourself a favor and get it done now.
Angela, Scott, thank you so much. And to our viewers at home, thank you so much for watching. That number to call is on the bottom of your screen, 844-861-5203, or you're welcome to scan that QR code to be able to come in and get your complimentary Social Security analysis. We love you, Dallas-Fort Worth. We'll see you next week, as we like to say around here. Bye-bye.